Welcome to today's new feature webinar. We're about to get started, so I hope you guys are all comfortable and ready for today. Today we'll be showcasing for all of them who's here, all the new and exciting features that we're releasing in the past 2 months here at monday.com. Once again, for those who just joined, I'm Juan, and I'm a customer experience manager here at monday.com. So I'll give you a moment to all settle in. Feel free to share in the chat where you're tuning in from and which industries you're working in. We'd love to know more about who is here today and what we're working with. For example, today I'm in New York City. So I'd like to see where are you guys from and what industry you are representing. Let's see, we got the finance industry, real estate, Ireland, Texas, Wisconsin, Georgia, Minnesota, the UK. I think it is safe to say that we are global and represent many, many, many industries. So for everyone who's taking the time today, thank you for coming. I appreciate that, and I'm excited to have you. Now then, let's go ahead and just work on a couple of things before we get started. So let's go ahead and move on to the next section. Now, before we begin, just note that audio will go through your computer speakers or in your headset if you're using one. If you can't hear me or see the screen at any point in time, please let us know in the chat box below. Also, please, if you have a question, put them all in the Q&A box. It's a separate section from the chat box. Me and my team that's joining us today, please say hello to Mike, Megan, and Jose. They will be answering as many questions as they can throughout the presentation, and I will do my best also in the Q&A side to answer those and show a visual. The demo will be also available on demand in 3 business days at the new Monday Academy. And for those who maybe not be able to attend, we're able to go in there and review the video today. I'm just going to take a quick moment to show you where to find that. So let me just go ahead and get out of this presentation to show you. Whoops, that is before, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and go into the account. So just let me know, can you see my screen and my board where it says Project Team Alpha? Righteous, thank you. So for those who don't know, if you click the question mark where it says help on the lower left side, and you click that, you'll have the Academy option right here. And when you click that, you'll be able to go find the video that we'll have today. Again, that'll take around 3 business days. And you'll be able to enjoy the video at your leisure. But we're planning on having fun today. So let's go in and back to our agenda, shall we? Whoops. Nothing like clicking the wrong thing in the presentation, right? Now then, on the agenda today, we have a lot to cover. I'm sure everyone is very excited for that. So let's just go and take a look. Today, we're going to go ahead and look at a couple of different sections. For example, in board columns, we're going to go ahead and check out weekday support in the date column. Mayor says aggregation improvements, automatic removal of deleted columns, the connected board relations, which is a big one for a lot of users. And then we'll look into board views, Kanban card action menu, work forms are out of beta, yay, and then work form results summary view. Next, in the automation sections, we'll talk about the new automation duplication mechanism. And then we'll go into the dashboard and talk about a few updates to our widgets, which include the numbers widget now supporting item count, the workload widget that can show workload in percentages. Whoops. Workload widget can now present data from items and sub-items, which I know is a big update. And then we'll go into account organization, where creating items for workplace on the left plain folder, just more of like an organizational change. Workplace permissions now available for apps, request to join teams from members, and also the ability to undo move pulses performed by other users. Now then, I'm sure everyone's super excited. Let's go ahead and get started. Now let me just go into an account. right here. We are back to the demo time workspace, and everyone should be able to see the overview board high level. And I'm just going to go over what we're going to do today. So just to kind of show you what we're working with today, I'm going to use a project management workflow that is spread out over 4 boards. This is a high level board and then 3 lower level boards, which I'm going to show you here. The premise is that these 3 lower level boards are going to feed information into the high level board. And I'm going to explain why that's a good purpose later on. But I kind of just will give it an overview of what to see today. But now let's get on to the good stuff, shall we? Our focus is going to be on the Alpha Team Project A1 board. And the first thing will be the new update where now for the date column, weekends and can be excluded. So let's get into that, shall we? Now then, when you click on the date column, you can see here that all dates are included, including Saturday and Sunday, which for most people is the weekend. And in the past, I've seen the different automations or different settings, if something was moved, especially through dependencies, which I'll explain more here, that will dive into the weekend. And for a lot of users, they're hoping for a change where the weekend is excluded, and that if, for example, a change occur on a weekend date, it'll be moved over to the next date. And I'm here to tell you that change has been made. So let's go ahead and show you how to make that change and then demo how this looks on your account. First, we're going to go into the profile icon on the lower left side, right over here. And we're going to go to admin settings. Please note this is an admin action that needs to be done. Regular members can't do this. We're going to go stay in general, go into account, and you'll see in the timeline weekends option, there's show weekends and there's hide weekends. We're going to go ahead and click hide weekends and hit save changes. Then we're going to go back to the board. Now then, just a little history lesson. Until now, when picking that setting that I just clicked, weekends will only be excluded from timeline column picker, but not the date column. And as I mentioned before, that has changed. So from now on, let me go ahead and just click to show a preview. As you can see here, Saturday and Sunday are blanked out. You cannot pick them. So now the system takes that condition into account and hides the weekend on all account levels. So this will affect the whole account, not just this board. Now, I know you might be wondering, okay, how does this work with dependencies? And I'm here to show you that. So, for example, in Objective 1, we see that the date is November 3rd. And that we have a dependency that shows that item Objective 2 is dependent on item Objective 1. And then Objective 3 is dependent on Objective 2. Now, in the past, if I were to change this to 4, the automation I have in workflows, which I'll go ahead and show you, is that to ensure the date of an item always starts after the date the item is dependent on. So in the past, if I made a change to this to 4, Objective 2 would turn to 5, which is the weekend. But now, if I made the change to the 4th, let's go ahead and do that. And hopefully let the magic work itself out. As you can see, Objective 2 moved to the 7th, Objective 3 moved to the 8th. The weekend was skipped because we have it now where hide weekend option goes ahead and makes sure that these are blocked off. So now in the future, if you do that setting and the automation does trigger anything like that with dependencies, it will skip the weekend. And that helps work. You don't worry about projects or team members thinking that they have to go ahead and work on the weekend. And I think for a lot of us, saves you some time, saves you some grief, makes everyone very happy. Now then, to the second thing I wanted to talk about today, and we're going to go back to the overview board, which I mentioned before is an accumulation of data from the 3 lower boards. We're going to go ahead and talk about the connect boards and mirror columns. Now, for those of you who maybe have not come across these columns, next two improvements are going to be related to them. So I'm going to give you a short introduction right now on what these columns are and some context. So the way you connect data between boards on your monday.com account is using these columns, connect board and the mirror column. The connect boards column creates a connection between boards, while the mirror column works with it to display specific data information. In this case, we have the status columns. Often you might want to connect multiple boards to your board that you're working on and then pull the status data from all of these boards into a mirror column right here. Once you do that, the status become aggregates. Now, the big change here that should help a lot of our users is that the mirror column now aggregates more information. Now, history lesson once again, previously, hovering over the status columns, like I'm doing right now, you should see a black box appear, would only show a little bit of data, only certain things. So like, for example, it will show done right here and say 50%. And that'll be all the data it has and wouldn't tell you like where, what item, what information is there. So now, in order to give users more clarity on connected items, we added the names of the boards on each item it originates from. That way, you don't have to go on a treasure hunt to find out which item is which status. You can see here that now it tells you exactly where to go to find information. And if I click into it, it can show me more information as well. Just the small little things to help you out as you find more information. So let's go over that just a little bit more, shall we? So you can see that project one right here is telling me that there is an item that is stuck. As mentioned before, it would not tell me what item it was, but now I know that Alpha Team Project A2 lower board is stuck. So if I want to go there, I know exactly where to go and where to find that item. The more information, the better, in my opinion. No need to go ahead and search things out as mentioned before. So I hope everyone's excited for that change. It might seem small for a lot of users. We're all about saving time, and that's what you're using monday.com for. Now then, let's go ahead and move on to something that a lot of people, I'm sure, are excited about when it involves the connected boards. Now, in the past, if you had a group, an item, or a board that was connected to items in different boards, so for example, having connected items in each one of these boards into the overview board here, if you made the deletion to one of those items, the connection would remain present in other boards. So you would have a dead item, if you will, that is not connected to anything, which is not good. It's not intuitive. It left broken links. No one wants that because you would have to go into these boards, find the item, and then delete it. It takes a lot of time, and time is something that we don't have much of sometimes. So we made an improvement on that. Now, when you delete a board, group, or item that's connected to items in a different board, the connect boards or items will automatically be removed. No more searching for that link that does not work. Now it just does it automatically. So let me show you a little bit more about that. So if I went ahead and tried to delete objective 3, let's go ahead and do that. Click the 3 dots on the left side right here. Click the delete option. You're going to get a nice message that says the following. Delete this item. Note there are other boards connected to this item on this board. This action will remove existing connections to deleted items, and then mentions about it being a recycling bin. So now, I'm not going to do it right now because I have a lot of all this set for the demo, but now when you go ahead and click delete, all those links or roots, as I like to think as a tree and roots, all those roots will be removed. There's no more trying to find these dead links and having to do it yourself, which I think is a great improvement and saves you time. And I hope everyone's excited for that. Now then, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a change up and focus on views. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to a different area here and focus on some of the view changes we have made. So I hope everyone's able to see the create request board, where we're going to go over a couple of changes that have been made. The first one that I'm very excited for is the Kanban view, which is a view right here. And for those who don't know, you can click the add view option to add different views here. But let's go ahead and click on Kanban, shall we? Now, as everyone can see here in the Kanban view, there are different cards. And for me, I like working on this a lot. It's very beautiful, and I know a lot of our users enjoy it. But now we've added a couple of changes to here, and I hope everyone's excited for it. The first one here that I want to go over is the addition of options. And what I mean by that is that before, in terms of changes you can make in the Kanban view, you could move it around like this, left and right if you wanted to. You can go ahead and click on things, but there were not too many options now. Now we added something to help you stay and work in the Kanban view. We're just clicking on the 3 dots of any card, and boom. Notice how this looks very familiar. This is the same option that appears when you click on an item. Now it's an option in the Kanban view. You don't have to go ahead, go to the table, go back to Kanban view. Now we're giving you more options to do more within this view and hopefully stay within that view yourself. I hope everyone's excited for this because now it saves time, and also you don't have to move between tabs, which I believe is what a lot of people were making this request for. I hope everyone's excited for this one. So let me go ahead and just click out. Now then, on the next big change I want to talk about today is the forms, specifically work forms. Again, they're out of beta, which means that they should be available to all accounts. Everyone's excited for it because it is a powerful tool. Now, to give you a little bit more of a history lesson here on work forms. Work forms are essentially an improved version of our older form view feature that contains more features. So this is just new and improved. Think of it as a car that is, let's say, 7 years ahead of the previous model. That's how I see it, at least. But yeah, we have a lot more information on this now. So if I click on the edit form, you'll see that there are a lot more options to customize than ever before. As you can see on the right-hand side, and also in the build, you'll see a lot more options with text, fonts, page type, color, image, and a lot of other enhancements that we made, just to give that work from a more personal touch that each company has. But that's not the only thing that we've added, although I'm sure everyone's excited to go in and play around with this. Please do. I hope you guys enjoy it. And it should be something that, again, all of you will have access to. But one thing I do want to show as well is a little bit of change we made to the results tab, which I'll go ahead and click right here. So this is our summary and response sections. You can see that there's 2 sections here. I'm just clicking to show you guys both responses and summary. Now, in this case, what we have done is that give you more information so you know what's going on in the account. So now we've provided pie and bar charts and searchable tables, allowing you to obtain a more convenient view of your response data. So you can see here, for example, I have it where different team members make submissions to their marketing request, and I can count which members are making a lot of requests in case you might give that member are talking to. There's departments, it's 4, which you can see here. The statuses, so like if it's a new request or it's being worked on, and also a brief summary of what the request is. And you are able to toggle in between these. So count in case you get a lot of requests, you can go ahead and go from least to greatest. But just more data and more ways to present the data. Now this view currently supports the following question types, because I'm sure everyone's wondering, okay, what can I use this with? So we support short text, long text, numeric values, true, false, ratings, and statuses at the moment in time. And that each question is mapped to a specific chart. So you can see how each one has their own chart here. And we're planning on adding more options in the future. This is just what currently is available. So please use it, give us your feedback. That way we can add more features and more improvements. But I hope everyone's excited for this because more data is better data. Now then, let's go ahead and focus on the next section. Just give me a moment to exit out. We're going to go move back to the demo time workspace. and focus on automations, which I'm sure many of our customers use, but I will always like to get some information about it in case it's not something you use a lot of. So for us, automation is part of the workflow family. And for those of you, again, who don't use workflow area, like automations and integrations, this is one of the more powerful aspects of monday.com, which allow you to create your own custom automated workflows using triggers, actions, and conditions. Or to pick, you can also, if I go ahead and click on workflows, let's go ahead and let it load. Well, you can make your own. You can also select from one of our pre-made automations. As you can see, there are many to choose from. If this is your first time experiencing it, please take your time to test it out, duplicate one of your boards, use it as a playground for testing, and just mess around the automations. That way you can go ahead and get to learn more. But let's go ahead and focus on the new changes we made, which is the duplication mechanism. So first things first, I kind of will go over a update we made to integration connections. So for many of you, you might be using, say, a email integration with Gmail or Outlook. As you can see here, there's different options where you can go ahead and connect Gmail. Now then, one of the biggest things about this feature is that when you want to go ahead and create something, you would have to go ahead and connect your email. So if you went ahead and connected, you would have to get permissions and then go ahead and make sure everything is allowed and then make the automation. But now we made a few improvements to that because we understand like doing the same thing over and over and over again can get very tiring. So now what we did instead is that if I go and create a new Gmail option, let's just go ahead and click something here. It's there already. It's new, it's there. You no longer have to go and reconnect your Gmail or give permissions each time that you go ahead and create a new automation with the integration. You can go ahead and just make it, saves you time. You don't have to go ahead and repeat things over and over again. So I hope everyone's excited for that time saver, but that's not the only thing we did today. Now, let me just go in. As you can see here, we have some static automations and we have a custom one. You can tell this is custom because it has those two blocks instead of having the regular Gmail automation. Now then, with custom automations, a lot of times if you went ahead and duplicated it, so let's go ahead and do that. And please remember that you can only duplicate custom workflows. For those who don't know, a custom workflow is just something you made to basically create something that's not already listed for us. So if I do something like instead of changes to something and add, say, person is assigned to it, send an email to someone. This is a custom automation because I'm adding things that are not normally in one of the static automations. But you can see here that, again, it's not asking me to go ahead and connect everything. It's just asking me to create it. But one of the things that was a pain point from users, let me just go back, is that if you went ahead and duplicated this, let's go ahead and do that, you would have to go ahead and reconnect your Gmail or your Outlook. That is no longer the case. You can just go ahead and do it and click create automation and it's there. Again, saving time. We've heard your feedback on this, how you want to go, you don't want to keep repeating the same process over and over and over again. Now it's there. Let me just go ahead and delete this extra one. And it's not only through the automations, this also is the case if you duplicate a board. So let's go ahead and test this out. So if I go ahead and duplicate a board, let's go ahead and do that. Oops, sorry, more actions, duplicate board. We'll go ahead and just leave it as that. We'll go ahead and include the items for consistency's sake. Now you see that everything is there. Now, normally speaking, in the past, when you do this, you would have to reconnect all the automations because it was very board specific. Oh, let me go ahead and close that. Apologies. It was very board specific. But if I go in there and go to workflows and see there, you can see that 2 of these carry over. So you don't have to go ahead and repeat the connection. Now with custom automations, that'll be a little bit different. I'm assuming that there's just a little bit of delay here, but with your static automations, they will duplicate and be a part of the board. You don't have to go ahead and reconnect things. The connection with Gmail is already there. So it's just, again, time savers. We're looking to go ahead and just save more time for our users so that you don't have to go and just reconnect everything again. But that is the changes we made to the duplication mechanism where now you stay connected. So I hope everyone's excited for that. Now then, we're going to go ahead and move to the dashboard. I'm just going to show you a quick preview of that for those who don't know. This is what a dashboard looks like right here. Now, for those, again, who haven't used it, if you haven't built a report in monday.com, this is what it is. It is a process where reports can be either built using the dashboard option here, which is you click add and click the option to hit dashboard. Or if you like to stay and keep things within a board, you can click add it as a view and click dashboard right over here. And I'll just click it for you. It should function very similarly to the dashboard here, with the exception of that this is only focusing on one board versus the dashboard, which can be used to add different boards in one place. And again, this is our reporting mechanism where you can show different data. So you can see I have a couple of widgets, the numbers widget and the workload widget. You can add multiple widgets, as you can see here. But our main focus today will be on the numbers widget and the workload widget. And these, I hope these changes can help you with your metrics and present your data to your bosses or those who you need to speak to in a nice, pleasant way. Now then, let's focus on the changes. With the numbers widget, the change that we made here is that in the past, you normally were able to only count information with the columns right here. So you notice it says 125. That 125 comes from all of the hour columns that I have listed here. As you can see, I have it for all different sections. And in my dashboard, I connected 3 of these boards. So you can see I connected these. Depending on your account type, standard, pro, enterprise, you can connect a multitude number of different boards. But in this case, I'm using hours to represent the data. Now in the past, you could only count the hours, that column. But now we made a new addition where you can count items. There are some users, depending on their project style, that instead of using a numbers column for count things, they count things by the number of actionable items on their board. So now we made the changes where both items and sub-items can be counted. And you can track that number in the numbers widget. It's a change that users made because, again, the thing about Monday is we want to be customizable and we want you to use it the way you see best fit. So adding more information and having more ways to list information is something that users wanted. And I hope that this is just another resource that helps you with that. So let me just go ahead and close that. I hope people are excited for that. Now, the next one, which is, I believe, a bigger change, and with the workload widget. Now, let me just go ahead and give an explanation of the workload widget for those who don't know. The workload widget, which is used for resource management. So basically, if you have workers working certain hours and you want to know how much time they're spending and what's a max time, who you can move between projects, you would use the workload management widget. But we've made 2 exciting updates on this that I hope everyone will use in the future. So let me just go ahead and explain a little bit more how this works. Also, please note for those users who might not be seeing this on their board, this is only available on the Pro and Enterprise plan. So in case you don't see that, if you're, say, on basic or standard, that would be why. So let's go ahead and just go over things real quick. So you can see in this workload widget, I have different settings to show the data that I have. I am using for time the date columns for each project. For resource type, I'm using persons assigned, which you see right here. This is just letting me know that, for example, myself on the week 44, I am working 20 hours. On week 48, I'm working 5 hours, and you can see that's for each person. Each board represents that. I also have added a capacity, which is going to be measured with the effort, and effort is the number of hours that I have listed for each user. So if I go ahead and click on this right here, you can see that in these two boards, I have it where I'm assigned to it, and there's hours split between them. And then the big thing here, you can see it's split, and then present as workload, you have number and percentage. Now then, you might be saying like, oh, percentage, this is new. And you are correct. This is definitely is new. Now we have it where instead of just having a number, you have it as a percentage. So let me click on it. You can see here that now instead of saying, 20, which is like half my workload, and the workload, for those who don't know, is based on the capacity. So I have it as 40. So previously, I had 20 hours of work this week, and the capacity is 40. That's 50%. But now you can make that into percentages. So instead of you having to do the math and trying to figure out how much work did really have, you can go ahead and flip-flop between the two and have percentage and numbers. And so now it's just a different way to view that information, so you can go ahead and make decisions for users. So I hope everyone's excited for that, because now you can just go ahead and make more judgment calls at a quicker pace. Now then, let us see. Give me a moment here to just take a sip of water. Apologies. Normally I don't talk this much, so it does take some getting used to, so apologies for that. But now then, let's go ahead and focus on the next part of this, because I just want to show you everything that you can do with the widget. So let me just go ahead and close this down and just make sure that everything is A-okay. But next, we're going to go ahead and focus on something that I believe will be a nice small change. So let me go ahead and go into just a board real quick. That way you can see what is going on here. And oh, actually, I'll take that back. There is one small thing I do want to show everyone that is on this widget as well, in case you might have missed it. But you might have seen that now it says sub items. And it's something that we've added now to our workload widget. So in the past, before, you could only include information from parent items. So you were not able to add sub items, but now you can. So there's no longer this guessing game. It was like, oh, hey, okay, I have 10 hours for the main item, but then I have all my different workers having different parts of this project in a sub item. Can I get that included? In the past, that was not the case. Now it is. Now you're able to include that information, so you get a more accurate view of what's going on with your team. So now sub items are part of that calculation. So if you go to your boards, make sure you can see that option and make the updates you need. So I just want to make sure that I did not miss that. Apologies. But let me go ahead and close that. I'm sure I'm looking at the chat. I'm seeing a lot of people are excited for it. I am excited too. Now then, for some more of the just easy to manage things that we made changes of, one of them is to our folder section. For those who don't know, folders are sections you can add in Monday. These are all folders right here. So if I went ahead and added a new folder, for example, you can see that it appears right there. And you can go ahead and add boards and have your different sections to it. Now, the change that we made to make everyone's life a little bit more easier is the ability to just add things within a folder. So if you go ahead and click on the 3 dots right over here of a folder, you can see that there's a create in the folder option. And now you can go ahead and take the same actions that you have on the add option at the top right here, but this is just specific to that folder. So you don't have to worry about creating a new folder and then dragging and dropping it to the folder it needs to be. Now you can just do that from here. So again, one of those small little managerial things that just makes things a little bit easier for you, which is why I believe everyone here chose Monday. And I hope that makes a little bit of a difference for you. And the submenu should be hopefully used a lot by all of you, because I'm definitely using a lot in my testing. But let's go ahead and click out of that. Now then, on the next subject that I want to go ahead and show everyone is the ability to make a request to join a team. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mondays does have different team sections. And I'm going to just show you that real quick. So if you click the menu in the lower left side and click teams, you can have different teams here based on the members of your account. And you might be asking, in case you're not familiar, what is this used for? Well, what you can do here, and let me go on a different board and go to main table. What you can do is you can assign an item to a team. So I know most, when you first learn Monday, you usually see in our demos, it's usually an individual being assigned, but you can also add teams so that that team is in charge of what's going on. But one of the things that a lot of users did make requests of is that if a regular member wanted to join this particular team, can they request that? Now you can see here that it says add members because I am an admin, but just give me a moment. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully switch to a member account so you can see what that looks like for a member to make a request to join a team. Hopefully this goes the way I want it to, because with technology and presenting on Zoom, you never know, but fingers crossed. Just give me a moment to switch that. I'm going to drag this over here. Now that everyone should be able to see, hopefully, my window that it's in black. That's an incognito mode. Can everyone see that? Let me know in the chat if you do. Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I am logged in as a member, not as an admin anymore. So if I'm a member on a board and I see that this team is working on a request for Jordan and I want to join that team and be a part of it, I can hover over and there's a request to join option. And that is something that I can make a request of and join a team. That can also be done if you click on the avatar, go to teams, and then you can go ahead and find a team and click request to join. So this is something that regular members can now do. They don't have to go in and hunt your admin down and say, hey, add me this. You can make a request and that could be either approved or denied. So let me just go ahead and close this incognito window out so we can go back to the regular one. Now, there are some controls here in terms of what happens when that request is made. So for our enterprise accounts, I'm just going to show you real quick where you can control some of that. So if I go ahead and click on the admin section again, there's a section that's permissions. Again, please note this is on the enterprise account. And there are now options to kind of control the request, what can be done, who can request it, as you can see here. So now there are options to add and remove members from teams and a bunch of other things that you can do, but these are the big ones that you can go ahead and kind of control who can do that, who can do what. Just note that we did make sure that those permissions options were added so you can control that. Because obviously if you have using this option, you want to make sure you have all the options available to you to stop something you don't want from happening. Now then, on to the last two subjects. I know this one is a big one that even I have had happen to me. So I want to show you. And this is what we talked about before, being the undoing of move pulses. So this means, for example, that if I had an item that was moved somewhere where it shouldn't be, having the ability to undo that. So for example, I have here an item called Jackson. You can see that it seems out of place. Like, why is it there? That is because it was originally here, but it was moved by someone, not me, but another team member. And did not want that. What can I do? Because before in the past, you wouldn't be able to undo that. You would have to go into the board, find it, and move it back. But now, if you go and click your board activity on right here, that looks like a line graph going up, you should see the option right here that says, my colleague Sarah moved it to the board, and the option to undo it. Let's go ahead and click that. And let's go ahead and exit out. And you can see that it's undone. And all the information I had before is back. It is not on the board that it should not have been on. It is now back. So now we've added that feature where if something is moved somewhere where it shouldn't be, you can click undo as an admin and bring it back. So now you do not have to have that, slight heart attack that even I have, where it's like, oh no, this was moved in the wrong spot because the data that doesn't match the other board, that's gone. Now you can go ahead and click undo and get some peace of mind, basically. So I hope people are able to take advantage of this in case something does happen. Give us your feedback on this one. I know that if we get a lot of feedback on this, hopefully we can add more undo requests in the future. But for this change, please let us know how you feel about it. That way we can always seek to improve more things. But now then, yeah, we all need an undo. I agree with you there. All right, now for the last section. I know some of you might be a little bit sad, but every presentation needs to end, right? So this has to do with permissions on third-party apps. So if we go ahead and click there on the apps marketplace, so lower left side, app marketplace, this is for those of you who might not know, it's an area where you can go ahead and add apps to monday.com for features that maybe we don't cover just yet, or for features or integrations with certain products that you work with. So one of the big things that users have asked is the ability to control what permissions are given to these third-party apps when they're used with Monday. So if I go ahead and I click, say, MSS to board and add to my account, you can see that now there's a little bit more permissions added to it. It's not just, oh, I can go ahead and click specific workspaces, click where it goes, click right here, and then hit install. So now there's more options to select where it's being used. I'm just going to go ahead and click workspace template just so you can follow through the whole process. Again, I picked that work view. I'm going to go ahead and add the feature. And it's now there. But the big thing again is that I now have it where this app is only on this workspace. It's not going to be on another workspace. I'm controlling which workspace this is given to. That way I control what data is being used. And in case you're wondering where to edit maybe apps you already have, if you go to a marketplace and then go to your installed apps. So if I go into the Looker embed, there's now a app management section where you can go ahead and manage permissions. Different ones might have more options, but that is now there for you to get a little bit more control of what app goes on what workspace, which I think for a lot of users is very helpful. So I hope you use it. Let me go ahead and close that out. Again, we're nearing the end. Just before we head into questions, just note that in case you might not see an answer today that I can provide, or you're looking for more information or a place to speak with other users, there's two places you can go. First place is if you want to learn more about Monday, there is Monday University, where you can go ahead and sign up and for programs and just learn more about Monday and the product. Maybe for a lot of you who are onboarding more users who need specific training, you can go ahead and click programs and pick things that can work out for you. And please note, this is also the area where you go and find some of the videos that we recorded today. And then there's the Monday community page. This is where all of you members here can go in and post ideas, talk about different products, as you can see here, get feedback, and also give feedback on certain features, this is a place for you. And just a quick note, if you do sign up, the sign up is different from your regular Monday login. So in case you're like wondering, like if you click login, hey, why is this not working? That'll be why. But just to let you know, so please go ahead and you have the time to sign up. It is a community where you can find a lot of answers, especially if you have certain workflows that maybe other users have used, and find answers there. So let us go back here. We are now in the Q&A section. Whoops, I always do that. My apologies. So I will go ahead and take a look at some of the questions you have. I can maybe visualize on my end, but let me just see what questions you have. Now then, I see that a lot of users are asking about how to access work forms because you're on the older version. So let me go ahead and go over that. So this is for the admins in the room, because this will be an admin option. So if you go to workforms.com, let's go ahead and show you that right now. Let's get out this Zoom screen. Let's go workforms.com. It is a URL that we took. You can go here and then use the sign in option using your Monday credentials. And the Monday credentials, when you sign in, it'll be, you can use Google or your other information, and this will lead to Workforms being added to your account. So if you don't have it, just go workforms.com, hit sign in with your account credentials, and that will be added. So just make a note of that. Now let me take a look at other questions. For those of you who might have not seen it, there will be a recording available again of this new features webinar. Forgot the name for a second there. So that will be available for you on the Monday U within 72 business hours or 3 days. So just an FYI there. So in case you're looking for this again, it will be there. Let me see what other questions you might have. I see there's quite a few. Just give me a moment. So again, with work forms, the work form should already be available on your accounts. Just go through this process to add it if you don't see it already. So just an FYI there. Let's see what else we have today. For those who are asking if it's someone that's asking if it's possible to edit automations. It's possible to edit automations, yes, in terms of them being custom automations. So let me just try to find one here. Maybe I have to go to a different board. But you can, if you go to automation, you can click edit workflow right here, and that will allow you to edit the automation. So that is possible. So if you create a custom automation or anything like that, you are able to edit a previous automation in case you want to make some new changes based on what I mentioned today. That is something that is possible. Let's see, we have a few custom automation questions here. I see someone asking what I believe is for timed automation. So if a status changes to something in 15 days, delete this item. Now, I don't believe we have something like that. Let me just go ahead and take a quick look, because it's always good to double check. But I'm assuming what you're looking for is if I make a custom automation, when status changes to something, let's go ahead and let's just say number means condition, then delete item. So I'm assuming what you're looking for is like a time frame, it's like in 10 days. As far as I know, there's not an option to do anything specifically like that, where deletion will occur within a number of days of the status triggering. I will leave, if any of my helpers thinks that there is a way to do that, feel free to find that particular question, but I do not believe there is a way to do that. Are workflows only on admin accounts? If you are a member, a regular member of the account, you should be able to add workflows as well. If you are an enterprise, you will be able to go ahead and edit permissions that could prevent that. But normally speaking, a regular member who's a part of your board can go ahead and add to that workflow. If you're worried that maybe a member who shouldn't be making changes does, you can always make a board shareable or private. Just to give you a little bit of information, shareable or private makes it that only users who are added, who are members of the board, can enter this board and view its information and also make changes. You can see those two options here. There's also certain permissions you can have depending on your account type to prevent certain additions or edits. Again, some of these editing permissions are on enterprise, like this one right here, and there's the regular editing permissions here. But you can change board's type to have it where only board members can go ahead and make changes. Let's see what else is here. Can you customize user roles? Currently, the only roles we have, just to give you some context here, if we go click admin and click users, you can see that the roles that we have are admin, member, viewer, and guest. So those are the 4 available ones. There's not, say, for example, a middle ground where it's like, I want someone to be an admin, but only have these certain admin privileges. There's not a version of that yet on Monday. But if you have the permissions options with enterprise, you can make some edits. But for pro and below, there's not a way to modify what that admin or member can do outside of that type that's already said. Let's see what other questions here. In the Workload widget, we'll be able to get a chance to select what items and sub-items columns to work with. Yes, you should be able to. Let me go in again and find that. Let me go into the other view. Apologies. And let's go find that dashboard. All right, the Workload widget settings. So you can see here that all the boards and the sub-items of these are there. So you can go ahead and exit out to not have data presented. You can see how that disappeared. And if I click date, it is there. So in terms of controlling what data appears, this will be the best option you have, is to go and have it be by items and sub-items. You can't have it be specifically like item 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but the control here is through parent item and sub-item. So I hope that answers that question there. And please note, just one last tidbit, in case you don't see a certain feature there, because this is a preview, if you will, some features will be appearing soon later on, but do check your account and do check your settings just to make sure that everything's okay and that you have the setting enabled or you're using the proper widget. Let's see. Does the app permission up also applies to integrations? Now with integrations, it should be that you set the permissions when you add it. So say, for example, let me see if I can do this on a different board. If I go to the Workflow Center and I'm trying to see something that I can add here, because I have many of these installed on my system already. Let's see if I can do Gmail one more time. And hopefully it gives me the option to show you. Nope, that's not it. So I would just have to explain it. When you install an integration like Gmail or something else, there'll be a pop-up menu that talks about what permissions are needed. So that will be where the modification is. And now if you go to the Workflow Center, apps integrations, they'll be there, as you can see here. But in terms of making any sort of changes, if you try to change permissions, I believe the best option would be to just reset that integration. So delete it on the Gmail side if you're using Gmail, and then reinstall it if you want to make changes to permissions. But when you first install it, there should be an option that talks about what permissions are given. Let me see what other questions we have here today. Can you select multiple people columns on one board in the workload widget? So I'm assuming what you're asking is, for example, here is having 2 people options and then having the ability to add that. So currently that's not possible. It's currently only 1. So if I go to resource type, you're going to see that it's go by persons right here. But let me test that out real quick, actually, and just see. So if I go back here, whoops, apologies. Let me go in there. Let me add the people column one more time, because the good thing is to go and test things out. Let me go ahead and just add my colleague, Sarah, just to see if it makes a change here, because let me go into there and see in settings, make sure that everything's a-okay. So you can kind of see for Sarah that didn't change. That resource is still 113%. So from my understanding here, as you can see, you need to choose the different people column. You can't pick 2. It has to be 1. Let's see, does everyone need to sign up for work forms? Nope. No, only one admin needs to go ahead and install it, and then all other users should be able to use it as well if it's not already on your account. So it is one admin can go ahead and do the job and add it, and then once that is the case, you and other users should be able to just click and add views, and then just make sure that work forms are there and added. Whoops. Sorry. Gotta go and make sure that this is there. As you can see, I have too many options there. But once an admin adds it, you should be fine. Let's see what other tickets we have. Let's do a Saturday or Sunday. Is there going to for those who are wondering how to add workflows to your pro account, it's on a per project basis, a per board basis. So if you go and click here, you'll see either a workflow or power up option. You'll click that, and you have different options here, including workflows. If you add workflows, you'll see different options to add. And again, you can create your custom or make your own. We can go ahead and click it, and then click the options you want. So if I go ahead and click date column, click the different options here. I'm just clicking very quickly, and notify me. Let's just add some information here. Not sure why that's not working, but that's okay. But if you go ahead and create automation, that will create the workflow and create the automation. So that'll be how you go ahead and do that. Current for the sub item question, currently there's not an option right now to add another layer of sub items. That's something I've seen requests for. So if you do have feedback, again, I say go to a community forum and mention that. Currently, we only have the following layers: is your workplace, then your board, then your items, then your sub items. So if you're looking for another layer, I say let us know on the community page here, and hopefully if we get more feedback to something we can add in the future. Yes, it is 12:01. I hope everyone has had a good time here. If in case I didn't get to your questions, I see there's a whole bunch more. Again, feel free to either go to our community page here or Monday U in case you might maybe watch this video again in the next 3 business days, or email us at support@monday.com where we'll go ahead, look at your question, and find that answer. Again, don't feel like I'm sorry that I couldn't answer each one, but again, email us. We'll find an answer for you. The support team is there to help, and I hope we can get that answer. I hope everyone has had a good time today. I hope a lot of these features are exciting. Go in right now and use some of them and let us know your feedback. But I am Juan with the Monday team. Thank you. And please have yourself a good rest of your day and a better tomorrow.